Good evening, everybody. We are live for our Oxlep LinkedIn training this evening. So hopefully you can see us all. We're here. We've got chat feature in the corner, which I'm going to share some things with you in a second. So welcome, everybody. Just a bit of quick housekeeping for tonight's session just before we start. We are going to be sharing about how to use LinkedIn. And in tonight's session, I'm joined with Vasco.
Hi, everyone.
I'm Dean. This is Vasco. And we're going to be sharing how you can grow your business, generate leads and inquiries on LinkedIn, which is becoming more and more important now because of what's happened with COVID. So this session tonight is, hi, Dr. Lucy, welcome. Tonight's session is actually funded by Oxlep, so it's a free training session funded by Oxfordshire Local Enterprise Partnership. Hi, Translate Digital Marketing, welcome. So please do ask questions as we go in the chat, and what we're going to try and do is devote some time at the end of the session for Q&A. This session, as I said, is fully funded by Oxlep, which is a government-funded organisation to help businesses in Oxfordshire. So there is no kind of sales pitch here tonight. It's really about helping you get results from LinkedIn.
Oh, hi, Radhika from India.
So we're going to start. Just please do use the chat. I'm going to put some links in the chat just because we have some feedback forms that would really help Oxlep understand what other free training they should be providing for you. So that would be really good if you could complete that. It would be really helpful. So Vasco and I are going to tag team tonight. So we're going to do this session between us. We're going to, there's a lot of information about how we've done things in here that we're going to kind of scoot through to get you as much out of the training as possible. Vasco spends most of his day helping business owners with LinkedIn. I mean, literally calls and people call in.
From 9 to 6.
9 to 6. So we're both doing it. And if you've been to any of the Oxlep LinkedIn events in Oxfordshire, you will have met myself or Vasco.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a taster training session that we're going to do in just over an hour with some Q&A. And it will work for you tomorrow if you just implement it. So it's really, really easy to implement. Hi, Rebecca. We can implement this really, really straightforward. So who is this training for? It's for everybody, but specifically this will help business owners who want to generate new leads and clients from online platforms, particularly LinkedIn for this one. And of course, that's become more and more important now because of COVID and the difficulties in interacting with people and all of that kind of stuff. So it also, the method we're going to teach you tonight will also help you to avoid price-sensitive sales processes and sales pitches. And ultimately, we don't want to do pushy sales tactics. That we're not in 1980 anymore. We want to be relationship selling, which is the way the world works these days. People buy from
people.
Yeah.
Basically, that's it.
And this is a process that you're not going to go from zero to multi-billionaire with this process, but it will work every single week if you're consistent.
Because with this, you create a structure.
Yes. Yeah, it's about a structure and a process to really develop leads and develop your visibility on LinkedIn. And, this is where you can strike the balance as well between wanting to sell, but also being seen as a credible person that knows what they're doing and has to achieve, you're credible. You don't want to be seen as, a fly-by-night or something like that. I think Lucy's disappointed that she's not going to be a billionaire next week now. So what we're going to cover in this session, and we'll spend a bit more time in some particular areas, and some of the overview stuff we'll kind of scoot through because it's not really relevant to tonight's training. So I will share briefly how I got into LinkedIn. I'll share the problem with lead generation, which is a lot of business owners tear their hair out over because they want to generate leads and it just seems like it's a nightmare process to do it. I'll talk about the 3 key things you need to know and the 3 key things you need to do, the results you can achieve, and we'll do Q&A. We're not going to do the accelerator here tonight. It's just going to be a Q&A session. Hi, Sue from Burford. Please do use the chat, by the way. Ask your questions. We've got plenty of time tonight, so we will do. So for an example, if you go, actually, can you review my profile? Can you give me some feedback? We will do that at the end. If you want to stay to the end, we will actually review your profile, you review your company page and give you some feedback. If you're brave enough to do it in live, this is actually live. So yeah. Okay, just a quick overview of how I got into LinkedIn. So I've been on social media since it was a thing. And, you know, that seems quite scary now that I was on Facebook when it happened. I was on LinkedIn when it happened. Some of some of the people who work in our business weren't even around. No, maybe they were, just about.
You entered LinkedIn when it was still a real recruitment tool.
The CV thing. Yeah, and I'm sure most of you went onto LinkedIn and just put your CV thing, logged in every so often, and then just back and forth. You know, it's developed over time. But I started with nothing. So literally, I had no money for advertising. I just had to make it work. And I absolutely hate cold calling. So I refused to do it and had to find another way. And LinkedIn was one of my ways. And really, the business has developed because we've always found other ways to generate business for people or help people generate business without having to do that kind of pushy stuff. Lucy remembers Friends Reunited. Wow. Now we're talking.
And we got Shrikant asking how to get leads from. We're going to take that on as we move forward, and then on the Q&A, you'll give you some more details.
So we've tried all the bots, the ads, the messaging, everything. Just a quick one on the bots and the robots and LinkedIn automation. UHR Consultancy absolutely will help you review your profile a little bit later. So hang on for that in a second, in a little while. So just a thing on bots and automation on LinkedIn. There's a lot of companies selling automation for LinkedIn that can save you time and do it all for you. It does not work. The reason being is, one, it relies on playing the numbers game, the same message sent out over and over and over again, and processes that actually don't convert people very well. That's the first thing. But if LinkedIn starts to see you sending the same message over and over again, it starts to blur out the message or say it's untrustworthy. And we should get some screenshots in for the future slides of that. The other thing is, it's expressly against LinkedIn's terms of service to use any form of automation on your LinkedIn account. And if you do use automation, there is a risk they'll restrict your account temporarily, permanently, or ban you from the platform. Now, if you're permanently restricted, you will end up where you can't connect with anybody. If you're banned, you're banned. And people go, oh, well, just make a new LinkedIn account. Well, they detect that you make a new LinkedIn account. So sometimes they stop you from creating a LinkedIn account forever. So, bots,
and when you go back, they ask you for either your passport or ID card. You have to prove you're a real person.
And just a quick from us, all of what I do is not kind of cold calling. We built our Maverrik, a training business, from literally a consulting business in 5 years to £1.4 million business. So turning over 1.4 million a year. No, we didn't use ads. This was all organic. So if you're a small business, you don't want to commit budget to ads and you're worried about how much it's going to cost in ads, this is all something you can do just by using your time, just a bit of time. And, you know, you can go on my LinkedIn. Feel free to come and connect with me on LinkedIn and connect with Vasco on LinkedIn. You know, see people's testimonials of how this process has helped them get results. And it's so simple. Actually, people think it must be more complicated. We've had so many people tie themselves in knots going, oh, no, I need to do this. And no, it's very, very straightforward and very, very simple.
Which comes to a very important thing about LinkedIn is don't overthink things.
Yeah.
Because the big problem with most people is they overthink, they don't do anything about it.
So just a few testimonials. I'm going to scoot through these because they're just there so that, you know, to give you confidence that this is a system that actually works. And these are some of the reviews on Trustpilot of people who've actually got results from LinkedIn.
And you can go to Trustpilot and see them there.
So the quick thing on the lead generation problem, a lot of people are pursuing a very flawed strategy on LinkedIn. They're generally going about it in this kind of way. And it is send people connection requests. When they accept, I'm going to send them a sales pitch. And it's usually very long-winded waffle with a link. It doesn't work. And the problem is that doing that kind of activity can feel incredibly satisfying because you're hitting a lot of people, and the perception to yourself is, I'm getting a lot of people to get to know who I am and what I'm about, even if they don't buy right now. The problem is most people aren't even looking at those messages because they're only looking for the messages that look relevant to them from people who they know, people who they recognize, people who they trust. So all of that activity that you're doing, the copy and pasting of the messages and all that kind of stuff, just doesn't work. And actually, in the long run, it can damage your LinkedIn account and the health of your LinkedIn account to the point where you could end up what we nickname LinkedIn jail, but effectively, you can get your account restricted.
And in the long run, it hurts your credibility.
Yeah, because you're immediately forcing people without knowing anything about you, without knowing your track record, without knowing your credibility as a person. And we all know the rise of fake profiles on social media. You're effectively not doing anything to win that confidence and trust before trying to get them to buy.
And the problem is that people come onto LinkedIn with the old way of doing new business development, which was going onto a street, knocking on the door, getting kicked out, and it was done, or picking up the phone, you know, yellow pages, white pages, giving you a call. They'll tell you to go somewhere. You'd say, thank you very much, tick the name, and move on.
Yeah.
And they want to do the same with on LinkedIn, which is, it's just
and actually, if you think about it, that's what we used to do with cold calling a lot of the time, is we'd go through the phone directory, ring people up, and we're actually trying to find a needle in a haystack. We're trying to find the one person who says yes in amongst lots of no's. So what we're going to share with you is a very simple process that you can work on that will actually help you share the value your business can offer, but also help you build the relationship so people will seriously consider what you have to offer.
Because there's one thing, and this is a magic name you have to remember. On LinkedIn, you have to nurture your prospects.
Yeah, just like you do in the real world.
Well, you should in the real world.
Well, you should in the real world. So, number one, generating leads on LinkedIn is ultimately about consistency. There isn't a secret system. There is no hack. There is no thing you don't know. Connect and pitch will get you banned. And just like it can feel good to make 100 calls and get one sale, connect and pitch does not work, and effort does not trump strategy. So working harder will not beat working smarter. And we're going to talk about a smart strategy today that you can do. It is involved work. You're not going to be, it's not laptop lifestyle here. But if you want new business, if you want new customers, you follow this strategy and it will work. So,
and it takes 30 days.
Yeah. Now, when I say here it takes 30 days to establish your routine and start to get results, what I mean by this is what people generally do is on LinkedIn, they have a flurry of activity and then check out for days or weeks. LinkedIn doesn't work that way. And if you try to make it work that way, you will fail. The reason being is social media is run by technology. And these technologies need to predict things. And you can't just go on there and try and make a splash in one go and then check out again. You have to be in there consistently, day in, day out. If you want, think about it like this. Let's put it into the old world of cold calling. If you picked up the phone and made one cold call and expected that to be yes on that day, and then didn't bother again, you got 100% success rate from one call. Guess what? It's totally impossible. But some people approach LinkedIn that way and try to effectively just convert one person instantly, or they do their cold calling inconsistently. So they'll do a round of cold calling, then they'll not do any for 6 months and wonder why they've got no sales.
And also they come from with the old habits of doing new business development, and they have to sort of establish a routine on their daily lives, either every morning at 10 o'clock or after lunch during 1 hour, and do the same thing in and out every single day.
So it takes you about a month to get into the routine of it. But in the testimonials I shared earlier, and if you go on our Trustpilot, we did a session, I think in Oxford actually, at the Jury's Inn in Oxford, and somebody came on and did the training, and within I think a week of that, they'd got a new customer spending £2,500 in a week. And then we had somebody else 14 days later, £28,000. And the biggest one we've had so far of a customer closing a sale from LinkedIn is
1.5 million.
1.5 million from LinkedIn without ever going, I'm going to send you this long-winded sales pitch.
And it took nearly 3 months, 2 months and about 20 days.
Yeah. But he's got a pipeline as well.
Oh, no, he's got a pipeline. and the other interesting thing is that he's getting lots of people contacting him because they see him every single day on their feed.
Yeah, because he's consistent, people are consistently seeing him. And you know that saying in sales where you go, actually it takes somewhere between 7 and 15 times for somebody to even remember who you are. LinkedIn is a great way to warm people up before you ever make a pitch, so that they know who you are, they know what you're about, they know you're credible, they know you're not a fly-by-night, so that a lot of that credibility piece that you need to do in the sales process, whether it be a business owner or a salesperson, you have to build credibility and trust. If you don't build that first, you have to build it as part of the sales process. So 3 key things that you need to know I'm going to share with you now. And this is all prep to the strategy we're going to give you. So this bit here is really important, because if you approach LinkedIn in a very kind of haphazard way or unfocused way, you won't get any results. So this is really about helping you focus so that you can make an impact and get a result. So I want you to think about in your business, what is the gap you can close? And I'll explain that in a minute. Who can you close it for? And what makes you different? So think about those things. And then I'm going to share with you this gap. So the gap is the way to think about your product or service. Now, I'm sure you're not lucky enough to be in a world where you have no competition. I'm sure you probably have quite fierce competition. So if you're a small business, say, you might struggle to compete with, say, a bigger competitor. But on LinkedIn, it levels the playing field, and you can compete in some ways actually more efficiently than, say, a bigger company. But the the method to do this is to understand the gap that your product and service fills. What do I mean by that? Well, every customer, every client buys a product or service to get them to a destination. So your customers, if you're a virtual assistant service, if you're outsourced HR, if you're a social media marketing agency, they're buying your service for a particular reason. And when you understand the problems of where they are, the challenges of where they are, the frustrations of where they are, and you focus in on them and where they want to be. So, somebody mentioned somebody's HR consultant, HR consultancy. Perhaps a business owner, they might have 4 or 5 staff and drowning in paperwork and the bureaucracy of HR, and they need some help, and they're sick of doing all the HR. Where they are right now, they're sick of doing the HR, they're confused, they're wound up, it's sapping all their time. They just want to be able to get on with the key things that matter to their business. So you are the service that fits in that gap, the vehicle that gets the customer from A to B, from where they are to where they want to be. So everything that you're doing on LinkedIn should be speaking to the gap that they have, not speaking to, hey, do you want HR services? Because when you do that, you're just catering for people who are looking for HR services, which is few and far between. But lots of business owners are drowning in HR paperwork and feeling overwhelmed by it, feeling like they can't get to the stuff that really is important, like working on their business. And so you can talk to those issues and show then how your service, product, or solution can help them achieve that.
Yeah, and if sometimes, people are trying to sell HR, and the problem that the owner has, it's not HR exactly, it's time.
Yes.
And you should focus on giving him more time, because that's what he needs to, and you can help him giving him the time that's so precious to him by doing his HR.
Yeah. And that's what you need to think about. You need to reframe and think in the customer's world. Why would they take HR services, or why would they take social media services, or why would they take that? Because they're trying to alleviate themselves of a pressure, a frustration, a challenge, a lack of time, a frustration that they don't have time. That's how it works. So you need to understand this before you go on, otherwise you will waste a lot of time. So then we need to think about who is your target customer, and you need to think about who your target customer is in the eyes of LinkedIn, which is slightly different to how you might have considered it already. Now, some of you watching this now may be going, do you know what? I know who my target customer is, and I've got lots of target customers. And I'll come to that question in a minute. What if you've got lots of target customers? I will come to that in a second. So think about, who's the job title you're selling to? Whereabouts are they located? Are they in any particular industries? They might not be. It might be a particular job title that's the emphasis. What size company is it? And now you have to think about these differently in terms of LinkedIn categories, because they're very different categories on LinkedIn versus perhaps how you've thought about them before. Then why are you different? Your style, your experience, your results, your method. What makes you different? Hi, Mrs. J. Some people when it comes to what makes you different, they say things like we act with integrity, or we've got great values, or we're competitively priced. These are not different things. You need to figure out the wording that nobody else would use to describe you. So for an example, if you went to your family-owned HR business, I'm sorry, HR consultancy, we've just picked on you because you were the last person in the chat. How many other businesses can say exactly the same? So you need to think about what makes you different in the way you do it, how you do it, the results you get, and the method you use to do it. So think about that. It's really, really important. Yes, Jane, and we did a session with Oxlep a few weeks ago.
Yeah.
Where we actually did a defining your USP session. So if you haven't seen that, go ahead and either drop us a line at Maverrik or drop Oxlep a line, and we'll get the link to you to rewatch that session. So think about those things. Now, one of the things we're going to give you tonight, you'll just have to ask us for it, because so if you can contact us or fill in the feedback form, we can send this for you. Let me just paste the link here. So if you fill in this feedback form, we can send you this form afterwards. Luke's just asked, can I explain how LinkedIn is different for target customers? Well, Luke, all it is LinkedIn has different criteria by how you find and search people, which I'll show you in a little while. Hi, Steve. So if you can't find them, if you can't define them by LinkedIn's criteria, you may end up building relationships with the wrong people. So what this free PDF that we've got here, which will help you understand your customer better, and I'll talk about this in a bit more detail in a minute. But if you're on LinkedIn, You might be posting on a regular basis, but your customers and potential customers need to see you and get to know you more. And if you're a bit haphazard with targeting lots of different people all at once, they won't get to see the relevance of you, the value you can deliver to them, and the problems you can solve for them. So what we call this the one strategy. And it is basically committing for a short season of time, ideally 3 months, to focus in on one target client. And we encourage you to think about this by industries and all the LinkedIn parameters, but also by the problems that those customers have and your solution and how it solves them. Because you might have a similar problem, like accountants and solicitors might have similar problems that your product or service solves. Or startup businesses might have the same problem as perhaps a developing business. So think about this not only in the geographic and common factors, but think about this in terms of the problems that you can help them solve. So we call it the one strategy, to focus on one client or one target client with one problem, one clear message, and one clear offer to that market. And the right idea being is there's so many people on LinkedIn posting and messaging and promoting their business, that if you can target in and refine your messaging, get in the customer's world, and the form that we've got here helps you get inside the customer's world, you can create messages and posts and articles and all the things you need to do on LinkedIn to really punch through all that noise and make a real impact with the target people you want to sell to, you want to promote your business to. So we call it the one strategy: one client, one problem, one message, one offer. Now you may have multiple clients, and that's fine, and that's where we talk about seasons. So for a period of time, ideally 3 months, you focus in on one particular group so that you can make a real impact with them. And then for the next quarter, you could focus on another group if you wanted to.
And what some people do is what I call the sprinkler system. Let's sprinkle all over, let's see what sticks, and let me eat everything. They're very scared that if you only focus on one client or one problem with one message, you're going to miss something. And the fact is, it's really the opposite. So going, all out and trying to eat everything at the same time will never work.
What was it? If you try to appeal to everyone, you will appeal to no one. So pick a season, a period of time where you're focusing on one group of people, and then move round to other seasons and other target audiences. So, Jane, we will do a review of profiles in a second, but this is really, really important foundation work. My clickers.
Yes, there is.
Luke's just asked, why 3 months? Depending on the health of your LinkedIn account, and we don't know, obviously, we always say it takes about 3 months for people to really find their feet, a month to find their feet. So the first month, you're really just finding your own routine and getting to grips with it yourself. Month 2, you're starting to improve on that. Month 3, you're starting to really rock and roll with it. So that's the key thing is you can track your progress, you can track your results and your performance over a 3-month period, so that you're not just going, well, that didn't work, without any kind of longevity to be able to measure what really happened and see what really happens and instinctively learn it.
And 3 months, because first month, it's probably 2/3 of your connections are dormant.
Yeah.
Or of people that don't suit you anymore, because they come, we all got an history on LinkedIn from past jobs we had, past types of work we did. So probably 2/3 also of the connections I've got, they're not relevant anymore. So you have to concentrate in growing your connections within the right criteria. You also have to concentrate in getting your profile right, getting your messaging right, and that takes about 1 month. Then the second month is for you to start stabilizing everything, And it's on the third month that you start getting all these, how could I say, more consistent results.
So the other reason to focus on one client, we're talking about one target client profile or ideal client profile, which is the PDF that we'll happily share with you. If you fill in tonight's feedback form, which is in the chat, we will send this to you so that you can actually map out who is that one client. Now, we're not meaning just like, you know, artists over the age of 50 that live in a village in Oxford. We're meaning one client as in one group of people who have a similar problem and similar challenges that you can solve. So that's why we're focusing. It may be that they're across multiple industries or multiple sectors, but they share a common problem and common frustrations with that problem. Okay, some three key things, and then we'll do some demos and show you some things about how to do this. So, Vasco, do you want to talk about the profile?
Okay. There are three things that you really have to worry about your profile, because there's lots of things, let's say, at play. One of them, I'd like to start with your image, and your photo is very, very important. So all those photos that you had, you know, that you look very well, but you were taken at a wedding, or you're walking around with your family, or walking the dog, or holding a glass of bubbly, or in Ibiza with dark glasses and without a t-shirt on, all that sort of thing that doesn't look professional, take it out. You have to be friendly and look professional. Okay, it must be a photo that when I look at it, it gives me confidence in who you are and what you do. That's the first thing. The second thing, it's the background, let's say, banner. Most of you probably have the template blue LinkedIn banner behind your image. Take that out. Put one that tells what you do, branded. And if you can't brand it, at least get an image there that's got something to do with what you do. So if you are in the aerospace business, planes and things like that. The other thing is your name. It's very important that you got your name right. Now, some people, they come from a foreign country and they've got loads of different ways to write their name. Keep it simple, a first and a second name. Why? Because if you've got more than that, in a search, you'll go right to the bottom. So people will not see you. So you need that in terms of when people are searching for you by your name. And then your title. Your job title is important. Why? Because it tells me what can you do for me as a client. So when I read it, for example, here on Dean, I know he's the CEO of Maverrik. And if I'm a CEO, I say, he's on the same level as me, I like to connect with him. And he talks about what he does. Join our social selling accelerator and supercharge your sales. It couldn't be simpler than that. Mm-hmm. And I sort of say, that's what I need. This is the guy I need to talk to. So put in there that. But more important, put in the right words of what you do, because that section is SEO'd. Same as the about section, slightly underneath, it's also SEO'd. So when what you need there on the about section is what you as a company can do for your prospects. Now, some of us have I'm a driven, young, experienced, whatever. Guys, you are not looking for a job. You are trying to sell a service, a solution, so that when I, as a prospect, see your profile, I can say, I need to talk to this person. So on the About section, you can go, for example, go to your website where you've got the About section of what your company does, copy it there and paste it here. Also, because there you'll have the right words, and because of the SEO, that is important.
So when we're talking about SEO, what it's really important to do is to talk to your customer, not talk to your industry. And very often we fall victim to this, particularly on LinkedIn, is that we produce posts and we produce content and we optimize our profile for actually members of our industry to come and read. But we should be optimizing our profile for our customers. So what do we need to show to them to see that they can have value? So it's about what their problems, their challenges, their frustrations. And Vasco's right. There's three things that people will see about you everywhere you go: your profile picture, your name, and your headline. Your profile picture, as Vasco said, needs to look professional, but it needs to look friendly. Your name needs to be really clear and easily understood. Don't fall into the trap of putting love hearts and all these funky things into it, because it messes with the algorithm completely. And then your headline, make sure it's clear that what you do, who you do it for, and the results you can get, because they follow you everywhere you go. So it's really important that you put all of that in there. Hi, Stephanie. So the About section, don't fill it with CV stuff. Fill it with an opening message to your customers, because you will get a lot of profile reviews from this strategy we'll teach you in a moment. So this will be a key area for you. If you want more traffic to your website, there's a featured section, and perhaps I'll show you this when we go into some live demos, where you can pin landing pages, web pages, brochures, whatever to your profile.
And interesting enough, this is what you must remember. Your profile is the shop front of your business. So people will see your business through what your profile looks like.
And people often say to me, oh, shouldn't we be doing all this through the company page?
That's a good one.
No. Company pages are geared up that you need to use advertising to make them work. So if you want to use, think of it, if you're on Facebook, think of your profile as your personal profile, and think of your company page like your Facebook page. They don't work very well, pages, but profiles work really, really well. So your LinkedIn profile is where you can build relationships with decision makers. You can build relationships with target clients. They'll see you, and very often anyway in business, people latch onto a person and then they decide to buy.
As you said in the beginning, people do business
with people. So the featured section is a great place to create web traffic, and if you follow our process, your profile views will rise, and then more people will see your featured section, click through to your website and learn more about you too. So it's a great way to get web traffic or traffic to your website. And if you implement this training, you will actually see, if you've got Google Analytics on your website, you'll actually see your views on your website and your referring traffic from LinkedIn start to rise. You'll also see, if you implement this, that your company page traffic will start to rise, because as you start to implement what we're going to teach you, people will get more and more curious about you. And so they'll click over here on the Maverrik and go to the company page, or they'll click down here to the featured section,
or even down to the logo of the company you are in.
So they'll start to explore your profile and learn more about you.
Can I just tell about the structure of LinkedIn? Because everything is pushed, and Dean's going to be talking about more on that. Everything starts with content. It's what you post. So people see a great post of yours, an engaging post, and they go, oh, great post. Who wrote this? Dean. Who the hell is Dean? They'll go and check Dean out and say, oh, this is Dean. Oh, he works for Maverrik. Oh, let me check Maverrik. They'll go to the company page. And then on the company page, because you've got a button, most of you there, that says visit website, you click there and you'll generate some traffic to the website. But everything is pulled through content.
Think about it like this: when you go on YouTube, and this is exactly how LinkedIn works too. You go on YouTube, you start watching, I don't know,
documentary.
A documentary on YouTube, and then fast forward an hour and a half and you're watching cat videos. It's an immersive experience that just pushes you around the platform, and LinkedIn is no different.
I like your example of Facebook.
Oh yeah, Facebook. We start looking at pictures of our friends, and before we know it, we're looking at wedding photos of people we don't know. That's how it works. So your profile is the journey to your company, and everything you do generates profile views. So if you put a post out on LinkedIn, people will look at your profile. If you send a connection request, people will look at your profile before they decide to connect. So they're validating you based on your profile. You send a message to somebody, they'll check your profile before they reply. You comment on their post, they'll probably look at your profile. Everything that you do generates profile views. So the more active you are, the more profile views you get, which means the more traffic you get, which means the more visibility you get. So it all snowballs from, if I can just do more stuff, it all starts to flow. But we'll teach you some of this a bit more. But the featured section is great for web traffic. And remember, tailor your profile to your customers, not to your industry. I keep pressing on the other screen and then. So, content. I'm going to talk to you about content. And you may not like this, but I'm going to tell you the truth. Content is one of the biggest drivers of profile views and visibility. Now, if you've been on LinkedIn and you've just tried to connect with people and message them, you've probably thought, I don't need to do content. But if you want thousands of people to see you every week and to go from 200 profile views to 1,000 profile views every 3 months, content is the thing. It's also one of those touch points that will help you get noticed by your prospects. So really important thing is that you have to be consistent in the way you post. If you're inconsistent, two things happen. The first one is your connections won't see everything that you're doing. They won't see much of what you're doing if you're not consistent. But also, you will never learn from what works and what doesn't if you change the variables. By that I mean, let's assume it was a scientific experiment. They call it a controlled experiment. So if you're producing content on a regular basis and posting it at the same time, you can start to see how the audiences respond on a daily basis over a long period of time. And every post you do, you see where down here I've got the stats. You can click that and it will show you a selection of stats of companies, locations, job titles. So you can start to see, are the right people looking at my posts? Are the right people engaging with me? Without that, you're just hit and miss. So when we come to content, I'm going to actively encourage you to post regularly every day, every single day. Now, you shouldn't be promoting yourself every single day because you will bore people to death. Even the most avid enthusiast of your product or service would get bored if you did it every single day. So mix your content up. And this is where the ideal client profile becomes very, very important, because that helps you define some of the key messages you want to use in your content, because you're talking to customers, remember, not in your industry. And also some of the things that might interest them. So in the content sandwich, we talk about posts that are there to engage, interest, and entertain. And then we have business posts, which are there to promote and educate and inform about your business, your product, your service. So you mix your content up between things that are just maybe light-hearted, inspirational, encouraging, amusing, and then business posts which are more promotional. And you mix them up in a sandwich, alternating between them, so that there's a good mix of content. Now, why would you do that? This is the complicated bit. All social media platforms work on an algorithm, and that algorithm basically simply works like this. If people like your stuff, they're going to see more of your stuff. If more people like your stuff or comment, their platform, Facebook, LinkedIn, whoever, will let more people see it. So what you've got to do is structure some of your engaging content to actively interest your target audience.
So you could go, for example, on Monday, you do an engagement post. Tuesday, you do a corporate salesly post. Wednesday, engagement post. Thursday, salesly. And Friday, you do another engagement post. So the Monday post can be, I have a great week. The Friday post can be, have a great weekend.
As a very simplistic way of doing it. And the business posts are there to say, showcase what you can do, the difference you can make, the results you deliver. simply. Now, Richard's just asked, should we post at the same time each day or vary it? Now, this is where I'm going to share some key times for you to post. So these are really good times, and then I'm going to show you how you accelerate or increase the reach of your posts. So first things first, key time to post is 7 a.m. in the morning, because for two reasons. One, people are getting up and checking their phones. But two, if you post early in the morning, it gives your post the maximum waking hours for visibility. So maximum waking hours for visibility. So 7 a.m. is a very popular time. It's also statistically that if you post at 7 a.m., you're going to get more visibility than any other time, unless you went, crazy. The second time is 2 p.m., that kind of after lunch, people flicking on their phones, having a look at what's going on. And then the final time that's pretty good is the evenings after 6, which is when more business owners are free to flick on their phone and have a look at what's going on. So that's also a really good time to drop a message to somebody if you want to reach them and get a response more quickly.
It doesn't mean you have to post 3 times a day.
No, it doesn't mean you have to post 3 times a day. Pick one. Don't post more than once a day, because every post you post ends the post before. And roughly speaking, the maximum exposure you'll get is within the first 24 hours. Now, there are exceptions to the rule, which we call viral posts. And a viral post is basically where people find it really interesting and they like and comment over and above what is normal. And so what happens is, because the platforms love that kind of thing, if you get likes and comments, they show more and more people your posts. So
Desperado. Don't be desperado.
Desperado. You can generally repeat your content after about 3 months, because that gives time for it to bury out. Sue's asked, which scheduling tool do you recommend? Sue, I
think you should go first for the ideal.
The ideal is to post organically, because the platforms can detect automated activity. So if you can, 7 a.m., post it organically. Save it in a doc or something and copy and paste it over, post it in the morning on your phone. Really, really, that's the best. That's the best way to get visibility. However, if you can't do that, highly recommend something like Hootsuite. You can get the free version and plug it in and go with it. That's better than nothing. Now, how do you get your post visible? Now, I'll come to some key elements of a post that are essential, but I'll show you a little cheat, a little tiny cheat. A way you can get 10 times more visibility on your post. And it's really simple. It's a bit of work, but it's simple. Now, there's a concept on social platforms, you may not have heard of it, called pods. Some people don't like them, some people love them, but what's certain is you get a lot more visibility on your content as a result of being part of them. And what a pod is effectively, it's working to the way the algorithm works. In the first hour or so of you posting, LinkedIn is measuring the success of your post. It measures success, by the way, in likes and comments. Not how well worded it is, not how insightful it is. It measures it by likes and comments. If you get decent numbers of likes and comments, and it's roughly over 20 comments, LinkedIn goes, this is a good post, let's let more people see it. Because it's not a given fact that your connections will see your content. It's LinkedIn chooses who sees what. And the more engagement you get, the more people will see it. So a pod is effectively a group of people who work together to support each other's posts, not because for vanity's sake, not because you want loads of comments so you look at me, whoopee-doo. It's so that the algorithm goes, oh, this post's doing well, let's get more people to see it. With the aim that more of your first connections will see it. That's what a pod does. We run pods free of charge to help people kickstart their content. And people go from, actually, I was getting maybe 200 views on my posts to now I'm getting like 1,500, 2,000. Some people are getting 5,000, 6,000 a day on their content. Now, that's a pod, and you can contact us.
I think if they fill in the form, if you could put the form there again.
I'll put the form here for the to get access to the form, the client form. If you want to be part of a pod, come find me on LinkedIn, message me and say I want in, and we'll send you the links. Guess what? There's 3 pods that we run: 7 a.m., 2 p.m., and 6 p.m. because they're the optimum times.
But there are tough rules on this.
There are some strict rules. What you do is you put your post up around that time, and remember that first hour's window of getting your post up and getting the likes and comments in the first hour or so are really important. It's actually 2 hours, but we say an hour to prevent people posting late and missing it. So 6 o'clock, 6:15, you put your post in the WhatsApp group that we share the link with you with. Everybody else does it. You go like and comment on theirs, they like and comment on yours, and you get the benefits of the increased visibility. That's how simple it is. Now, a post won't perform if it's not very good. So I'm going to give you some tips on writing posts. Lucy, it is a little bit like TikTok, a little bit. So a couple of things on posts. If you look on screen now, you can see a snapshot of one of my posts. Generally speaking, people only see the first 2 or 3 lines. Those first 2 or 3 lines have got to get people to read more or see more. So you need to be asking questions, being maybe a little bit provocative, asking opinions, teasing things a little bit, and make sure it's broken down so it's much easier to read. Short sentences rather than long paragraphs, because it's easier to scan read and make sense of. And do vary the media that you use with posts. So don't just do all links, don't just do all shares. Use images, use PDFs, use videos, upload videos, share links, all that kind of stuff, but mix it up. Don't be a one-trick pony, otherwise you'll see your views start to tank. So mix it up, both the medium, the type of content, engaging posts, interesting posts versus promotional posts, and mix up the media that you're using so that there's a variety. And you'll start to learn about what your audience respond to. Also, it's really important that you reply to the comments, because again, more comments create more visibility. And if your prospects comment on your posts, you should be engaging with them there to build up that rapport, build up that relationship. So you can use our pods and just find me on LinkedIn, connect with me, and we'll share the links to help you get going. Some people use the pods for a long period of time. Some people use it to have a go for a little while. Some people use it and then just move on to their own way once they've found their kind of rhythm. Quick thing on hashtags. Hashtags. People get hashtags wrong, like really wrong. So remember how if we want to do business on LinkedIn, we get into the customer's world. What often we do is we put hashtags on our posts that are industry centric. So let's say I was selling HR services, I'd put hashtag HR. That's totally a bad idea, because who's following the HR hashtag? Well, it might be HR managers, it might be, but it could also be other HR consultants. So depending on who you want to reach, you should be using the hashtags that your customers are following, not the hashtags your competitors will be following or the competitors will be using. So for an example, our business does LinkedIn training. So on my posts, I will never use the hashtag LinkedIn training, because everybody who uses it is a LinkedIn trainer. So very few customers are going to be in the LinkedIn training hashtag following it. So if I put the hashtag on, I'm literally promoting my post to my competitors. Literally promoting my post to my competitors. So if I want to get to business owners, I might use hashtag CEO. If I wanted to get to finance people, I might use hashtag finance. If I wanted to get to senior managers, I might use hashtag management. You can pick the hashtags that your customers follow, and you might need to do a little bit of research, searching in the bar at the top for the hashtag, and it'll tell you a bit more about it. But use hashtags your customers are likely to follow, not the customers your competitors are likely to use.
And only use 3.
And only use 3. LinkedIn, despite all these people going crazy with posting 20 and 30 and 50 and gazillions of hashtags on their posts, LinkedIn only indexes 3 hashtags. So you put the first 3 are the only ones that matter. So use 3 hashtags. Generally, I say to people, use one that's got tens of thousands of followers, use one that's got hundreds of thousands of followers, and use one that's got millions. And if you use the pod to get started, that will help you rise up the rankings with each post, up the rankings. And so if you rise in the rankings on the small hashtag, you'll rise up on the others and the others. So it's a cascade effect that helps you. Now, the other thing on the content you should be aware of is every time you put a new post out, you're back to square one. With the exception that LinkedIn will show your post to the people who liked your previous posts in the last 2 or 3 days. So if I like your post today and you post tomorrow, I'm probably going to see you tomorrow. And if I don't like your post after 2 or 3 days, I probably won't see you again until you pop up again randomly or by the algorithm putting you in front of me. So if you do post well for your target customers, you might get people regularly engaging with your content, and they will get more and more visibility of you, which means that they're getting more exposure to your advertising messages, more exposure to you as a person, and they're going to get to know you, trust you, see you're credible, and maybe make an inquiry, an inbound inquiry. So that's the main thrust of content, and we're going to do some Q&A in a second. Now we come to the lead generation bit. And again, I'm going to go through this quite quickly, and we'll do Q&A, so if you want to go over any of this, we can do. So when you're sending connection requests to people, be aware that second-degree connection requests are the ones that are probably going to accept. Third-degree connections are less likely to accept because you've got no friends or connections in common. So only connect with second-degree connections. Next rule, withdraw those connections if they don't accept within 7 days. Now, why am I saying this? So LinkedIn judges the health of your account by the ratio of connection acceptances to connection rejections. So if you get too many rejections, you get into trouble with LinkedIn jail, restrictions. So by withdrawing the people who don't accept within 7 days, you can limit the number of no's that you get. That makes sense? You're limiting the number of no's. The maximum you should ever send in one go is 100. No more than 100. I'll come back to engage in a second. So the ideal should be, particularly if you're getting started and you've been really inactive, is just connect with 10 to 15 people every day. That's the maximum. Connect with anybody who likes or comments, because they can help you build your audience, build your crowd, and build your visibility. Too many people, and just to be aware of this, a lot of your target clients will not probably like your post. They'll just watch them, or they won't comment. They'll just watch them and look at them and observe them. So having people who have engaged with your content as part of your connection, even if they can't buy from you or don't have a need for your service, can help your visibility. So it's really important to do that. And don't pitch people in messages, cold pitch people. So now I come to the 7 steps, which is the bottom, the 7 sales steps, or the 7-step selling as we call it. And this is where you can connect with anybody, build a relationship with anybody. And whilst I say step 7 is pitch, it's not really a pitch in the way it sounds. It's more about converting people. So Vasco, do you want to talk through the 7 steps?
Yep. And by the way, Richard and Lucy, when we come to Q&A, we'll answer those on detail, your questions. Yeah. So the ideal of engaging your target audience regularly is you go onto one of their posts, you like
an ideal client here.
Ideal client. You do a like, and when you say update, because now we haven't got the
LinkedIn had some features where you could almost use it like a CRM, which they took away at the beginning of September. But effectively, you want a system, whether it be a spreadsheet, to record what you're doing with your prospects, so you don't just have a dabble and can't remember who you spoke.
And you can do this now even if you don't have Sales Navigator.
Yes.
So just have a spreadsheet. So what do? You go and like this person's post. I know that some of you are going to say people don't post. We'll talk about that later. Then a few days later, I usually say like 2 or 3 days later, go onto another post and do a like and a comment. And comment on the post. I personally sometimes even sort of tag the person, so he's warned that I've tagged him on the post, and I update this onto my Excel spreadsheet, and then after I've done that, I will then send a few days later a connection request, and then when they accept my connection request, I go and I send them a message saying thank you, and this message is not war and peace. And you're going to try and sell anything. Just say what I usually say is, "Hi John, thank you for joining my LinkedIn network. If I can tell him what I do, just 1 or 2 lines, and sometimes I will even say, if you ever need my services, here are my contact details, and I put in my email, my phone number, and the website. And then I carry on again. A few days later, like, comment. And the ideal should be for at least 3 weeks, 2 to 3 weeks, people should see you doing this. And then it's when you do your pitch, either by sending them a message, which you offer your services, or asking for a phone call. But you only do this after people have seen you for at least 2 or 3 weeks. Because after this period, and they've been seeing you, they know who you are. You're not a stranger. You haven't dropped out of nowhere, and all of a sudden there's war and peace in front of them.
So when you think about this from the client's perspective, you've engaged with their post, you've liked one of their posts, you've commented, and tried to have a comment that encourages them to reply back to you, so you can have almost like a reply conversation in their post. Why? You're building a relationship. You're deliberate.
You become known.
Yeah, and when we go for business meetings with people, we don't just sit down, remain silent, and then go, right now, let's discuss business. My job, if I was meeting you to do business now, and I walked in, my first job in that meeting is to build a relationship, whether it be talking about the weather or complaining about COVID or whatever. I'm trying to build a relationship with you to make the meeting and the sales process go smoothly.
And this is nurturing.
It's nurturing.
You have to nurture the person so that when you go for the sales talk, he knows you are a friend. You just didn't drop out of nowhere. As Dean said, you don't sit in a meeting and just go for the price.
Yeah. So these likes and comments, albeit deliberately from your part, are building a relationship, building visibility, building rapport, and increasing the likelihood that they will accept your connection request and that they will actually read your message and give you either a respectful no or that's interesting. And there's an art to writing these messages, these pitch messages. You can do them in lots of different ways. You can invite them to an online event, like a webinar. You can ask them, do they want a download, like a white paper? You can actually ask them whether it's worth putting a call in the diary. We're chatting and we're in similar space. We do something that might help you. There might be a fit there. Can we have a chat? But it's not, dear Dean, I was wondering. It's like you've got to build that rapport and relationship. So I talk about the tone on LinkedIn of being informal, but never familiar. So you run through that process and you will find your connection acceptance rates go up and your likelihood of response goes up. But all of this works off the back of You're posting content sharing about the value that you can bring, the results you've delivered, the problems you solve, and you're connecting with the right target audience.
And having a correct profile.
Yes.
Because when you start doing this, imagine what's going to happen. They're going to check you out.
Exactly. When you first like and comment, they'll check you out before they actually comment, before they reply. They will check your profile out before they accept your connection request. That's just how this thing rolls.
Now imagine you do all of this and you got a picture of yourself in Ibiza without a t-shirt, holding a glass of wine. Doesn't look that professional, does it?
So we're not saying go stiff upper lip, but we're also saying don't look like you're unprofessional or a lager lout. So this is a very simple process. 7 steps selling on LinkedIn. Very, very simple. Very, very easy to do and very, very simple process to follow. So what results can you get? I'm going to share some results you can get. So this is not a sales pitch really, because we're not going to offer you anything here, but I'm just giving you some examples of people that we've worked with. Over a 13-week period, these are some of the results they got. 18,627 new connections. This is 14 people in 13 weeks. 1.9 million content views. They used our pods to get started. 161 inquiries. That's quotes. Yeah. And we track these numbers and they're their numbers, not our, marketing numbers. 161 actual quotes or proposals or presentations with pricing in 13 weeks. 1,272 leads that they're developing. I don't mean that like, oh, I want to do business with them. I mean, they've had conversations and they're developing the conversation, but they haven't yet quoted them or put a proposal to them. Invoices from the work 13 weeks, £288,929 between 14 people in 13 weeks. And then the annualized new business revenue. In other words, this client, because we had a lot of people on this session in this 13-week period who were doing repeating work, so manufacturers and services like subscription businesses where you pay something every month. They annualized the business out to 2.6 million. Now, they sound like huge numbers, but it works out roughly just short of £200,000 worth of annualized business per person and about £20,000 worth of invoiced work in the period. So they're the kind of results that you can get if you're consistent on a regular basis. Now, this group of people are actually in their second 3-month cycle now, and they're seeing this number go up a lot faster because the first 3 months there's a big learning curve.
And also, it's important to say that all of a sudden they started growing their connections with the right criteria in the right industries.
Yeah, so there's a lot of work you have to do in the first couple of months just to get off the ground and get moving. On average, in the first 3 months, they spent an hour and a half a day. Now, that's come down quite a bit for them now that they're more familiar with the platform. Some people, one guy, bless him, he's a lovely guy. He's similar age to Vasco, never used LinkedIn before, and had to go from literally ground zero to get this going. He's done about £50,000 worth of invoices now. I think I spoke to him 2-3 days ago. Yeah. And he's loving it. He said he didn't know why he hadn't done this 5 years ago.
In fact, he said he'll never go back.
But he actually rang us every day for about 3-4 weeks just because he was stuck on lots of things because it was such a big learning curve for him. And so often people say, I didn't get it. The first month I didn't get it. And a lot of people go, oh, I just want to go back to connect and pitch. But this will get you a lot more results a lot quicker. And you find that the efforts you make compound. So we're going to do some questions in a second. So if you've got any question, I'm going to go back through some of the questions here.
Well, there were 2 very good ones. Yeah. One is Richard.
So I'm going to answer these questions. But if you've got questions or you want me to do demos or anything, please just put if you want me to do a demo and look at your profile, can you put your name and your company name? Don't put any links, but put your name and your company name in there, and I will go find you on LinkedIn. I'll give you a review of your profile. So do put your questions in and we'll answer all your questions. So Richard, how important is the use of video? Video is really, really important on LinkedIn. However, what we've noticed is some people, LinkedIn's own statistics say that if you post a video, it'll get 5 times the engagement of any other medium. But what we've seen more recently is that video, if you do video too often, you start to see all your numbers nosedive because people are getting bored of the same format. That's why we say to rotate videos. Another thing that's really important is to look at, Jane, I'll answer your question in a minute. Look at look at YouTube, because there may be clips or examples that you can download from YouTube and share as part of your engagement post. And that's become very popular on LinkedIn because people love a funny clip or an interesting clip or a clip from a movie that you can explain something and relate it back to challenges and problems in your industry. So, Richard, video is really, really important. Don't do it too often because you'll see the stats decline. And also remember, a video by LinkedIn standards is an actual MP4 file uploaded to LinkedIn. So if you just share a YouTube video onto your LinkedIn, that doesn't really count as a video. It may look like one, but it doesn't. It's a post in effect.
By the way, if you guys have got any doubts, visit Dean's profile and you can see how he does it.
Lucy's asked, should we be linking in with people we don't know? Well, Lucy, no, you shouldn't be linking in with people you don't know. But if you follow the 7 steps, yeah, like and comment, and you get interaction and put comments on there that people engage with, you already know them now. You've introduced yourself, so it's over and done with. You've done it. So the answer is no, don't connect with anybody you don't know, but build the relationships and interact. Jane's asked, I'm a consultant, so show various companies on my profile. Don't have a trading name, just my own. Can I make it look any better, or should I list out the brands I've worked for? Thanks. So Jane, what I would think of, if you're a consultant, I would, the downside you've got is maybe what you want to do is show that you have a consultancy business, even if it's, what's your name? Jane Thomas Consultancy. Make a company page. You don't have to use it very often, but it just adds a bit more credibility. And you can just put Jane Thomas Consultancy, and then you can say, I work with various companies on consultancy projects, IT or whatever it is.
All the specializations she has in terms of consulting. Is it marketing, strategy, branding, whatever it is? Have those words. Remember, it's SEO'd, that section. So have those names there.
I'm going to go through some reviews of profiles and everything here now. I would also just add, by the way, that on LinkedIn, if you've not got if you've got the free account, it will cap the volume of activity that you can undertake. So be very, very careful with that you need a premium subscription, because LinkedIn will cap how much stuff you can do. So Claudia, I've got you here, Claudia. You've got a header, which is great. You've got your name, which is perfect. Clear photo, you look friendly enough, which is good. And you say to people what you do in the header, which is brilliant. So that's all good. Your about section's there, which is brilliant. Your featured section's there. But, Claudia, what I would suggest is, if you can see here, the testimonial's brilliant. But this one here, the wording doesn't tell you anything about that one. So I would think about what's the clarity you want to put on your profile here. So it looks like you're pinning posts. Maybe pin a lead magnet, or maybe pin a landing page, so that it's much clearer what you do. Claudia, you're posting regularly by the looks of it, which is good. Let's have a look. Yeah. So Claudia, a couple of bit of feedbacks. Remember how I said about the breaking up of the content so it's easier to read? So here, this I would put on a second line and break it down. I'd also, Claudia, just be aware, and this breaks the rules actually of most marketing, but it's the world of social media which breaks everything. Just be careful, because your branding's really on point. and Jane Thomas might hit me over the head here as well, because your branding's all consistent and on point, the downside is that all of your content will look similar. So you have to kind of break the universal brand rules here a little bit and vary the colors and brightness and luminosity and all that kind of stuff to make sure that you're producing stuff that contrasts so that it gets attention. Because the danger is if you do the blue and grey thing, whilst it looks on point, it could distract. See, you've got a shared one there. It's great. But you see what I mean about the blue? It all inadvertently can look somewhat similar. But Claudia, other than that, it's great. The only other thing I thought, Claudia, was you don't seem to have a company page displayed, but you have it here.
Click on the photo. What happens?
So I would link your company page at the top, just so it adds a bit more credibility. So link your company page at the top. That would be great. Who's next? Let me just go up. So we've got Lucy Rogers, Macatorium or Macatorium. I think that's you. Yes. Yeah. Wow. Cool. Lucy, very interesting branding. It's great. I like it. You draw attention there. Again, company page, Lucy, I would have your company page profiled just because people will want to know more about you and will dig there. So if you're going to be, if you're the professor here, I would put that up there. It adds a lot of credibility to you as well, because Lucy, you've got a really creative profile, which I love, by the way. But that will help you just counter your creativity with credibility that you're part of a major academic institution. But so yeah, that's fine. If the company's just you, that's absolutely fine too. What I would do as well is, Lucy, is just try and define yourself to a particular group of people, because inventor with a sense of fun, I put technology into plain English, I get all that. Need a problem solved or explained, ask me. So whose problem? What's the kind of problems? That would help define it. And again, adventurer for hire, I'm looking for my next challenge, what have you got? I would build that out. That's a really great line, but I would build that out more to give some context to it or some more content to it so people can understand, because it would be very easy for me to look at this and go, are you a keynote speaker? Are you a consultant? Yeah, you've got this branding nailed and you've got a real cool way of doing it, but you haven't put yourself in a box that defines yourself, which you may want that not to be in the box, but that means your customers will struggle, or potential customers might struggle to put you in the box too.
Oh, great.
You're posting content, which is great. I will do everybody, so don't worry about the time. If we run over, apologies. I'll do it as quick as I can. So, Lucy, you're sharing a lot of stuff. Given your creativity, I really think you should be posting your own content and really explaining this and elaborating more on what you do about helping explain complex problems.
Even do a video.
Videos with the gold jacket would look cool. Really own that personal brand. I think it would be incredible. You get a lot of personal speaking gigs when the world reopens, but you'll also draw people into, I love the way you do things. So you'll build, I don't like saying this way in the way it is, but you'll build people who just love your stuff. So that's something good. Let's have a look. Richard Cartledge, is that Cartledge?
Yeah, Cartledge.
That's fine, Richard. Oh, Richard.
And the company
performance
is...
there he is. So Richard, like the image, the navigation, your navigator, leadership development specialist. I would build that out to say who, maybe. Who is the leadership development specialist for? How do you help people become a better leader? What's the outcomes and results of being a better leader? You've got a company page, but it's not linked at the top. So I would have it linked at the top. So that would be really good. So you may need to pick which one there. So I'm assuming Performance Solutions Consulting. let's have a look at the post. You're engaging with a lot of people. Let's see how your post is doing. So again, Richard, you're sharing some things. Richard, you might hate me for this, but I'm going to say it because it'll help you. You've got this slogan of your navigator, but when we click it, there's only 2 followers. So you're using a hashtag that's promoting it to 2 people. So I wouldn't do that. And I would also be wary of using leadership development, because if we click into it, I bet you the majority of people who use that will be leadership development people. Simon, yeah. Visa's advert. More leadership.
Master trainer.
More leadership. So you're promoting your content to, effectively, other people who do what you do.
Just think of whom do you want to talk to.
And use their hashtags.
So if it's marketeers, use hashtag marketing.
So just think about those things. I'm going to put Jane Thomas in now. And guys, feel free to come and connect with me. And don't forget to go do that review form for... Jane...
Thomas Brand. Is it?
I can't find you, Jane.
Jane Thomas Brand.
There we are. There we go. Oh, so Jane, if you have got a photo there, you've got your privacy settings. Jonna, I'll do you in a second as well. You've got your privacy settings on to hide your photo. Now, you may go, I don't really want people seeing who I am, you know, privacy and all that kind of stuff. The problem is some people will assume that maybe you're not a real profile. So it's really important that you get your profile on. To change your profile visibility, Richard, I'm glad we're fun. We do these every week for Oxlet, by the way. So these sessions are on lots of different topics.
But by the way, Jane, you know, you are in the brand marketing, content and communications. You want everyone to see you. Yeah. Because your job is to make everyone see everyone that works with you. They're brands. So have your photo there. It's, you know, your photo, your face is your image. It's
you're preaching to the converted there, Vasco, I think. So Jane, just if you're struggling to know where this privacy is, you go onto your profile, view profile,
yeah,
and then you see this edit public profile and URL. I'll show you in a second, Stephanie, and you scroll down here, and this is where you can show what's public, and your profile picture should be there, profile photo. And I set mine to public so everybody can find me. I want the world to know who I am because I want to obviously do business. So that's what I do there. So
it'll be great, you know, if you do it while we're doing this, and then we can see who you are.
So there's Jane. Company page, Jane, it looks like you haven't linked it or you don't have a company page. I would make one just so that it's visible, and then you can add your temp roles or consulting roles separately. Oh, head of brand content and digital communications at John Lewis. Oh, cool. Sorry, got distracted. So, Jane, I would add that there so you've got some degree of kind of longevity of something. Because the other thing is that some people might look at you and go, oh, she's a consultant because she's a job hopper. So I think that would add some more context to you. Because we're very judgmental about other people. Snapshot judgments, we're horrendous for it. And if I go into your post, let's have a look at your post. Oh, Jane, post more, get some more content out. It will get you more visibility, more engagement, more profile views. And of course, if you're consulting, you want to line up other consulting projects, I assume. So I would sort a company page out. And again, if you're stuck, just drop us a line and we'll help. We've got more training and stuff we can help with on that. But I would engage and build some more content. Connections. Generally speaking, the average user now has something like 500-600 connections. So you're a little below the average. So I'd build up those networks and again, engage with people to build those up. Jane, if you're looking to get new consulting roles in the future, think about this long term and go, who do I need to be connected to help me in the long run? for the next role or the role after that or the role after that or the project after that. Hopefully that was helpful. Jonna Mundy. Aha. Oh. There you are. So, Jonna, nice friendly picture, which is great. You've got Premium or Sales Navigator. You've got a nice header, which is great. Owner HR, your HR consultancy. I would add more to that so that you can say the difference you make or who it's for, because you could be a consultant to corporates or to SMEs or to solopreneurs or to freelancers.
And the other thing is, on the About section, you say you're a chief executive and founder. That's better. Because when you put owner, people think it's a one-man band.
So I would put some more into your headline here. I'd also look at, maybe, Jane, this isn't relevant, but you do need a company page, even if it's just for validation purposes. Excuse me. So it would be really important to have that there, even if you only put one post a month up, but put something there to validate it, because it doesn't seem to show. It's showing here, but you can pin it at the top. I'll show you how to pin it at the top in a second, because Stephanie's asked that. So a bit more there. Let's have a look at the content. You're pinning content here, which is good, but what I would do is think about maybe putting a landing page or something here as well, so that you've got something that's there that helps in the long run. So you shared somebody else's post, which is fine, but you've not posted in a week. So I would continue to build the post up on a regular basis. You will get into the routine of posting things, and some of them can be just little clips like this, blue screening. Some of them can be shares. But for an example, if you want more visibility on your content, if you post it more regularly, you get more visibility. So if you joined one of our pods, for an example, Jonna, you'd be devastated if you got 2 likes on a post. Absolutely devastated if you got 2 likes on a post in the pod. It'd be like the end of the world. And in fact, some of our group, when we have like low times in summer, they get depressed because they didn't get 1,000 views on their content that day, or 2,000 views. So it's a great way to start. So that's the key things that I would spot there. Stephanie, on the add the company page. So,
Well, the moment you link and you have got a company page, it shows automatically.
They've disappeared. How odd.
No, so when you link your yourself, it gets pinned on the top.
Yeah, no, mine's disappeared as well. So there may well be a glitch here that's going on, or LinkedIn's just changed something, because if I go to, let me go to Vasco Botello, and here he is.
No, it's also gone.
Yeah, they've done something at the moment where you should have your company page up here. It was actually here earlier because I was doing it with somebody
This morning was there.
So there's normally your company page here. It might be broken at the moment, but normally it's there. So yeah, if you want to join the pods, you're more than welcome. Anybody who's connected with me, I'm happy to connect back, and I will do after the session. Any other questions you'd like to ask? Stephanie, do you want me to have a look at your profile just to see? There, Stephanie. Ooh, like that image, Stephanie. Yours has gone as well. You've got a great headline. Services are in, which is not a feature everybody's got at the moment. You've got pinned things. Stephanie, again, a landing page of some kind.
Stephanie, I think I did a one-to-one with her.
Stephanie in our sessions, our accelerator program. So Stephanie's got a company page and some details there. I'm sure Stephanie's posted very well.
Oh, yeah.
Stephanie, are you not using the pod groups? Here we go. This is Stephanie's PDF she's made about her logo and branding that she does. So you can see how it is.
Now Stephanie's brilliant.
So any other questions? Happy to do any more questions if you have them. Next week's session, you can book there. No more cold calls. which is just about some of the selling techniques you can use without doing the cold calling and cold outreach that feels a bit pushy. Please do use the feedback session for Oxlep. They really would appreciate the feedback to know, one, have we done a good job for you today? Two, what would you like to see more of these free trainings? All of that kind of stuff they're keen to know. Just as an aside, if you want any of this, we publish it all into book format, which you can download from our website, or you can go to my LinkedIn profile and get access to it as well. But if there's any of your questions, we're happy to help. Also, as an aside, if you've enjoyed this training and you give Oxlep good feedback on us, we'd really appreciate the good feedback too. So if you can come on my profile, recommend my profile on LinkedIn, or go to Trustpilot or Google reviews and give us a review. If you've got value from what we've offered tonight, please, we'd appreciate that. Yeah, we're not really into that. We like to make training sessions light-hearted, enjoyable, a bit of fun, because we're all here to learn, and you remember things if you've had fun.
And it's late at night.
Yeah, it's 8:30. Okay, guys, if there's no more questions, thank you for coming. Please do the review for Oxlep on feedback. If you want the ideal client form, do fill in that form and we'll get it emailed to you. That would be wonderful. Anything else you want from us, more information, more training, more knowledge, just come find us. You know where we are. And thank you so much for coming. And
thank you for the great words. We appreciate it, really.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Have a great rest of the week, everybody. And hopefully you'll be on our free session next week. No more cold calls. Thanks, everybody.